Hi, my name is Leanne Monk and I'm here with Chet Rogers, a licensed commercial appraiser, and he specializes in conservation easements. So our very first question, of course, Chet, is what is a conservation easement and what is a quote-unquote qualifying conservation easement?
A conservation easement is something you put on land to restrict the development of the land. It's typically, in this case, always for conservation purposes. A qualifying conservation easement is an IRS term, and it means that the easement has to be granted in perpetuity. You can never take it back, and it must be held by a qualifying, the IRS calls it a 501c3 organization. It's like a land trust, a municipality. You can't give a conservation easement to Aunt Millie because she's not a qualified holder.
I see. But once the land has that easement assessed to it, when it gets passed on to other people, it stays with it, correct?
It stays with it forever and forever.
Forever and ever. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So why have an appraisal done in the first place for a conservation easement?
Well, most people would like to take advantage of the tax deduction you get for doing a conservation easement donation to this qualifying organization. The IRS says that if your non-cash donation is greater than $5,000, you must have an appraisal done. In this case, the appraiser signs your, the IRS calls it an 8283 tax form. The appraiser must sign it, and whoever is the holder of that easement must sign that tax form.
I see. Okay. So how does a conservation easement appraisal differ from an ordinary appraisal? Most people are familiar with the ordinary ones.
Yes, this is a bit more complicated.
Okay.
Again, it's all driven by IRS guidelines. Conservation easement appraisal is really two appraisals. We have to do an appraisal before the easement, and maybe before the easement you can take that 40 acres and put 6 houses on it. And then it does the appraisal after the easement, and after the easement only one house. And the difference in those two values is the value of the conservation easement. And there are some other peculiarities in there. If you enhance the value, if the easement enhances the value of that one remaining house, that enhancement value is deducted from the value of the conservation easement. So it's really two appraisals.
Two appraisals in one. Okay.
Yes.
So who is qualified? Who can actually perform and do a conservation easement appraisal?
Well, most any certified general appraiser can do one. There is special training that the IRS looks for to make you a qualified appraiser for conservation easements. So it's really a certified, it's a commercial appraiser with extra training and extra experience in the field, to do these appraisals.
That makes sense. And is there a standard typical cost, and who actually orders that type of appraisal?
Well, typically the landowner is making the donation, and they're the only one that benefits from the appraisal. So typically the landowner orders the appraisal.
Okay.
Often a land trust will refer an appraiser or two or three, and the landowner will choose who they want to do it. As far as the cost goes, it depends, everything depends really on the complexity of the subject. Typical cost is in the $4,000 neighborhood for a reasonably straightforward subject property.
Okay, and I would assume that you'd be able to give a quote before that?
Oh yes, yes.
So they know ahead of time what
There's a whole conversation that goes on, and the appraiser has to do the due diligence. And in most cases, the appraiser can quote a flat price. In some cases, there may be some initial work done that has to be done to understand what the scope of the job is going to be. But that should always be clear-cut and written between the appraiser and the property owner.
Very good. Well, thank you very much, Chet Rogers, for your time, and we appreciate your educating us on how appraisals work, and especially what a conservation easement appraisal is.
Thank you.
Thanks.